Good evening, everyone. My name is Javon Carson, and I am the Administrative Coordinator for the Council for Economic Education. I want to welcome you to this special presentation this evening, how to prepare for the Economics Challenge. So if you are on this call, you are someone who has registered or is interested in registering your team for the Economics Challenge this spring. I'm going to introduce our speaker, and if you do have any questions, feel free to send them all throughout because we will circle back for a Q&A at the end. And also the presenter's contact info will be in the slides. And so if you have questions maybe that escape you now and you wanted to reach out to the presenter as a resource, you'll see that information at the end of the screen. Dick Rankin is our presenter this evening. He's a colonel who, after a military career, has also been in education. He's taught AP Economics for more than 2 decades at Iolani School, that's in Honolulu, Hawaii. So he is joining us Pacific time. He has a BA in Economics from the Virginia Military Institute, as well as a master's from UTA, that's University of Texas at Austin. Dick Rankin is also a former member and College Board advisor to the AP Economics Development Committee. He's been a reader, table leader, and question leader for the AP Econ exams for the past 20 years. And he was also the course director for the Principles of Economics course at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. He won the Stephen L. Jackson Economics Award in 2014, and he is no stranger to the Economics Challenge that the Council for Economic Education runs. He's a great resource if you wanted to know tips, tricks, recommendations, and so the next voice you hear will be his. Again, if you have questions, send those throughout. There's a chat function on your screen. You should see that. And also, if you're experiencing the AV issues, let us know. You may not be the only one. And so that will let us know that we may need to slow down or go back if more than one person is having issues with the audio and the visuals. Without further ado, Dick, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'd like to start off by shooting a big aloha out from Honolulu, Hawaii, and everybody there at the mainland. It's about 76 today, kind of a mild day, but it's going to get real chilly tonight, 65 degrees, so gotta feel sorry for us there. Anyway, welcome to the seminar, the webinar, and I'm going to go through four major points. It's a four-pronged approach, but four major points in my presentation. Javon just kind of already talked about this, that I was lucky enough to have really good students, and we participated in the Economics Challenge, and we ended up winning 5 national championships and placed second a couple of times. Anyway, it was fun, and I want to share with you some of the things that I did with my students to make that happen. By the way, if you are a new teacher, I didn't do all these things my first year. I don't want to overwhelm you. I'm going to tell you all the things that I was doing as I got really into it. So anyway, moving along. Let's see here. We're not going to the next slide. There you go. Okay, again, it's going to be a four-pronged approach. I'm going to talk about that you should teach the course as well as you possibly can. That's the most important thing. Talk about multiple choice question practice, buzz around practice, and current events and history. These are the 4 things I'm going to talk about. Okay, I can't emphasize enough that you just have to do the absolute best you can in terms of teaching the course. The Economics Challenge, it's really not a measure of how well you taught the course. You're going to feel good about the course one way or the other. And the Economics Challenge is above and beyond that in a sense. But that said, I can't emphasize enough that you need to teach it, the course. And I want to tell you a little story that when I was at West Point, they selected me as the outstanding professor in the social sciences department. And folks, when I look back at that and how much I knew back then, I knew very, very little about economics. But when I did, every day I was enthusiastic. This is a really important point. You have to be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic, or somehow you've got to get your students to be enthusiastic about economics. And unless you're doing it, they're not going to. I took this very seriously. I said, some of you may know me, I'm a Redskin fan. It's a horrible thing. They haven't done very well. Sometimes they may, well, often they may lose on Sunday. But when I go to school on Monday, I forget about that. I get up in front of the students and I force myself to be enthusiastic because I can't hope that they're going to be if I'm not. So every day I took it very seriously. Be enthusiastic because what you're trying to do is you're trying to attract some of the best students and they have to be enthusiastic about what we're doing. Okay. The multiple choice. I write the questions, by the way, for the National Economics Challenge. I do that with 2 other people, and still not that crazy about that way of testing. Unfortunately, it's a quick way to test people and see how they, and when they're competing. So you got to have multiple choice. You got to practice it because it's going to be part of the economics challenge. If you want to be successful in the economics challenge, then you got to have multiple choice as a part of your testing format. And if you don't like it, you could have some essay parts too, but make sure you give them some practice. In fact, what I would do, I did, is I had a separate program of multiple choice that I issued out to the economics challenge. All those folks who wanted to be on the economics challenge team, I had them do, I would hand it out on Monday and they would, turn it in during the week. And it was another way to measure who was pretty good at that. But again, you need to have it part of your curriculum, and then also consider having it as part of your outside work, your economics challenge. And by the way, there's some multiple choice available, and this is a really good site right there. If you haven't been on to see the council site, they give you example questions, sample quiz bowl questions. I just wanted to show you that right off the bat, is to be sure and go look at that site and make it part of what you visit. Okay, now in order to get to the buzzer round, you have to be good at the multiple choice. But if you're going to win either a state competition or you're going to win at the national level, then you've got to be good at the buzzer round. Now, I think this is the bait that attracts your very good students. If you were like me, I don't know why it is. It's students, every once in a while you get a student who's really, really good at economics, likes economics exclusively. But I'm telling you, that's kind of rare. They tend to be good at the history bowl. They tend to be good at the science bowl, the same ones. And so what you want to do is you want to get them to be excited about economics and come to your economics challenge team. And I'm telling you, I think the students like to compete, and they like this part of the economics challenge probably the best in my experience. And so I actually had a separate program. It was a ladder, and you could sign up to compete. And I would run, buzzer round competitions whenever they wanted to do it after school. And they'd come in, you could challenge somebody and move up the ladder. It was kind of neat to say, well, I'm the leader of that. They get enthusiastic about that, but cannot emphasize enough that buzzer round. I would mention that the states still use the buzzer round. It's a timing thing. Questions asked, and the first one to buzz in gets to answer it. If they're wrong, and if they buzzed in too early, then they read the entire question to the other team. That's still the way it is. But going to if you win the state and then you qualify to go to nationals, they are going to do a new scheme this year whereby they will ask the question and then you have 20 seconds to write the answer onto a whiteboard. And then everybody shows their answer. It could be a tie for a while, but that's, I just tell you that because your skills or the buzzer round that you've used in the state will still be good practice for the national round. Okay, so another thing that's important because, you know, when we craft these questions, part of them will be some current events. And you got at least the economics challenge team, you know, you got to get them doing some reading on their own. And I would consider splitting it up so that, you know, and they come back and they brief each other. And when I say reading, a lot of times a good one is the Wall Street Journal because, you know, that right side and let the margins on the front page is probably all we're talking about in terms of something being significant enough to be asked during the economics challenge. I even think the local newspaper is fine because really, you know, we craft the questions. We're not going to, I don't think we would ask something very trivial. It's some, you know, every time the questions asked, when I was competing, I would always say to myself, God, how do they not know that? Because it's something that we as adults pay attention to. We read the newspaper, so we know. And if you can just get your students up to that level, they will be fine as far as the you know, the current events. I think there's some helpful readings as well. I don't know if you can do this, but if you can have them do a summer reading prior to coming to class, that would be good. Or during the year. So I want to mention 3 books that I used. And I used a lot of different ones, but just real quickly here, I used New Ideas from Dead Economists by Todd Buchholz. That one was good. That's the one where they kind of talks about, makes Adam Smith and David Ricardo come to life, so to speak. The other one I liked was The Economic Naturalist by Robert Frank. And that's one where he has his students observing economic phenomena and then explaining it using you know, course material. And that's a good book. But by far my favorite was Naked Economics by Charles Whalen. And when I had my students read that book before, they scored way better on what I always have an entrance type of exam to see how, you know, what the status of the class is. They did really, really well. That book, it's no economic jargon, no graphs, and yet when they finish reading that book, in my opinion, they have a pretty good understanding of how economics works, how our system works, and it's a great starting book as far as that's concerned. Some other sources which I highly recommend is the ones put out by the council, and here they are on this sheet. Advanced Placement Economics, Microeconomics. They go to the 4th edition now, and then they have Macroeconomics. I helped write that one also, and then they have the one for David Ricardo students as well. I tell you, the bottom line, I want to speak to this a little bit, is that your economics challenge team, the students have to take responsibility for the team. There were times, you know, we're all hard workers. We wouldn't be teachers if we weren't hard workers. I thought I would go out and research, put together stuff, and ask questions and stuff. I'm going to tell you, the years that I worked way more than I should have in doing those kind of things, were not successful in terms of a national championship. On the other hand, when the students took responsibility for that, they developed questions that other students would be used for other students on the buzzer rounds and so forth. When they took responsibility, when they had teamwork, that's when we were really successful. The other thing I mentioned in the next line is that when you are in the economics challenge, whether you win, lose, or draw, you've got your course will be improved. That economics challenge improved because you're discussing economics more often. They bring better questions to class. I really salute the economics challenge for helping me with my coursework. I think again with the economics challenge, better students, you can capture them from those other places they might go, like the History Bowl or the Science Bowl, etc. In essence, your course is going to have a whole lot more zest. Sometimes at the end of the day, if I had some time, I just get some students up there. We do buzzer questions if I had extra time that day. And I've already mentioned that buzzer round is a good bait to get those people to sign up. Okay, well, I probably went through this more rapidly than I intended to. I did cover all the points that I wanted to cover, and I don't know if Darwin, are there any questions that I could address here?
Someone did want to know about if you had sample questions, the beginning slide, or you mentioned that you helped with the questions if you had an idea of a sample.
Well, let's see. I know that there are sample at that website that I showed. There are samples of multiple choice as well as buzzer round. Yeah, I do write the questions. I write them with a couple other, one guy from Vanderbilt and one lady.
Is that a link that's embedded in the slide at the beginning?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, it's the council's website, and you go to CEE and .com, and then the Council for Economic Education will come up, and then go to the Economics Challenge, and then it has sample questions.
Okay. Okay, I think that was about it. And again, everyone that's on this call will be receiving the slides, and any complimentary information you can ask either of the presenter or Rosanna Castillo, who will be at the forefront of the Economics Challenge. She does this program. And so if you have those types of questions about content or anything beyond these slides, go ahead and do that. Thank you so much, Dick. And then I think that's about it. Thank you for everyone that was on the call. And thank you so much to our presenter.
It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And I have some contact information. Like I told you, I got quite a bit of experience, and I do write the question. I'm happy to do anything other than tell you what the questions are.
Right. Thank you so much, Dick. Thank you to everyone that was on this evening.
Aloha.